So I'm Zack, the guy who made this presentation, and I'm going to lead you through the snacking revolution. But first, we got to kind of see how food and eating has been affected before this. So a long, long time ago, when cavemen ran around and hit stuff with rocks and hunted and gathered, there was one really great innovation. They figured out how to light stuff on fire. And so in the picture, it shows, they use it for cooking, for trees, and I guess accidentally lighting other people on fire, maybe not so accidentally, but it was a really great opportunity that they could start cooking really like starchy vegetables like potatoes or turnips, things like that, or cooked meat that they scavenged, because I'm not sure if you tried it out, but eating raw meat or raw like potatoes or starches doesn't taste good at all. But by being able to do that, humans had a lot more energy and developed a better brain, better strength, and stuff like that. Going forward a little bit more in time, we figured out that we could actually take vegetables from the ground and animals in the wild and cultivate or domesticate them. So we could kind of take them, make them our own. We could grow like bigger potatoes. We could grow cattle that we could milk and eat. And so we had a lot more food. And I mean, it kind of sucked originally because you had to do a lot of work farming and taking care of these like crazy animals that you trapped. But it gave a stable source of food, and it led to more division of labor. So that's when people kind of figured out, we can cook things differently, we can do different stuff, which leads us to the third revolution, which is more recent. I kind of combined two of them together. So this is like the third and the third and a half. On the left, you have the Industrial Revolution, which is a lot of the time that factories came about, a lot of new technology came, which started technology growing by leaps and bounds, leading to the Green Revolution, which was all about taking the farms and all the stuff that we already had and growing it bigger, faster, and better. But unfortunately, these had a lot of side effects. So with the Industrial Revolution, we got a lot of pollution of the air and the water. And with the Green Revolution, we got a lot of, that's where all the pesticides, the herbicides, big machines, genetic engineering, a lot of these issues that you hear a lot about, that's where that started. And so there's some good, there's some bad, and starting near the Industrial Revolution, there was a lot of talk about how polluting our environment affects our internal environment as well, and that breathing this contaminated air, drinking from this contaminated water, and the effects of it on the food are contaminating us and leading to poor health. So as you can see, this is a snapshot from the past 30 years of 40 years? Yes, 2015, of health in America. So starting from the left in 1985, you can see there's a lot of cool colors. So like whites and light blues, which corresponds to a low percentage of obesity. And then as you go forward in time, from 1985 to 2000 to 2010, the colors get a lot warmer, indicating more obesity. In fact, in 2010, there aren't even any states left with under 20 to 24% the population being obese, whereas it was half that 10 years earlier. And so, welcome to America. This has just kind of become the norm, where 2/3 of the adult population are either overweight or obese, and it's even spreading down to kids. That child obesity is at about like 17% now, with a lot of attitudes of sedation, a lot of mindless eating, a lot of really refined processed foods that pump us full of fat, sugar, and oil, and lead to a lot of bad health. But we're coming to this shift. So we have all of these processed foods, all these attitudes that it's easier to watch TV and sit on our butts than kind of go and cook. So what the snacking revolution does is it takes a lot of the trends coming forth in the prepackaged foods, but it allows you to take your health into your own hands by making food that's portable. So instead of sitting down to have a meal, it's more easy to eat and go on the road with recipes that lend themselves to being like portable. Simplicity. So instead of cooking all day in a over hot stove, it's more of a quick in and out of the kitchen, so you could go in, do what you need to, leave, and live your life. And lastly, health, because so many people are losing out on health and losing out on freedom or potential in their lives because of obesity, chronic diseases, different things like that are diet related. So the key point of the snacking revolution is to allow people to take their health into their own hands, which is just a longer way of saying that you can go cook to improve your health. And that's going to be the number-one factor. So what makes someone a good cook? Well, the number one thing is enjoyment. If you like it, you'll stick with it longer. And if you stick with it longer, you'll get more enjoyment because you can cook more difficult things or more easily, stuff like that. And so the way to really do this is food planning. And so there's a few different outlines right there that it's based off of having a weekly recipe calendar. So on the side, it kind of shows an example of that let's say, Monday is like burger night, and then Tuesday, you're gonna try and make pad thai. And then it goes like that throughout the week. So if you know what you're cooking each day of the week, it makes it a lot easier to shop week in and week out. And you know that you could make extra amounts as you get good at these recipes for leftovers. Now, this seems kind of like strict of having everything planned out, but in reality, in America and the world, people typically eat the same half dozen or so meals, week in and week out. So I mean, it doesn't have to be completely static. So if you're having like burgers on Monday, maybe one week you have cheeseburgers, maybe another week you make, instead of French fries, like sweet potato fries. There are little variations that you could sneak in to add variety to the diet while keeping it something that you could predict and plan for. Also, having leftovers for lunch, you could either have another portion of the same thing, or you can kind of reinvent it. So I keep picking on these Burger Mondays, but you can take like the burger patty, cut it up, mix it with like rice, lettuce, peppers, tomato, and some like salsa, and you could have, instead of a burger, use the same ingredients to make it more of like a Mexican style dish that uses the same ingredients again, which makes it easier to shop, but it's still a completely different dish. Then for breakfast, the easiest solution is just to kind of have the same one or two recipes. So personally, I like to have a go-to of a smoothie. So it's really quick, it's a protein smoothie, fills me up. I can make it in like 60 seconds or less, blindfolded, and it's just something that's simple, something that's easy to shop for. A lot of people I know, if it's not smoothies, it's usually like oatmeal, and that's not to say that if you have time on the weekend, you can't make pancakes or waffles or something like that, but just having that routine makes it a lot easier to shop and to plan for. And also, I mean, snacking is a huge part of what I do, of having that portable grab-and-go food, that having like 2 snack batches a week that you could have in the freezer or in the refrigerator just to be prepared and have some flexibility in your diet is a good idea as well. So now that you have cooking down, a lot of what gets in your way is your beliefs. And so here's pretty much a whole page of reasons why learning to cook is beneficial. And I mean, with all these reasons to learn how to cook, it's not even a choice of whether you should or not. It just doesn't make sense to not cook. I mean, you guys can read it, but cooking and sharing food is a great way to bond with friends and family. If you eat better, you have better recovery from exercise to grow stronger. Cooking itself is relaxing. It's something that you could lose yourself in and go into that flow state for kind of a meditation. Cooking gives you skills. Those skills give you confidence. Looking better naked. I mean, if you know exactly what you're eating, then you can control that, and it'll help you eat more nutritious foods that are less calorically dense and make you look better naked. Saves you money, improves your immune system, and it's good to impress the opposite sex. Now, when you have your meals all planned out, one great tool is to have a shopping list. And now when you have the meals all planned out, like I talked about a few slides back, it's really easy to just have a go-to shopping list that, 80% of your list is already going to be done for you week in and week out. So you could type it out, you could print out a bunch of copies, and every week you could just go and grab the same stuff. Of course, there's room to improvise if you want to make like slight modifications. So for my smoothie, I use like frozen fruit. So one week I'll have like blueberries and bananas and like apples. But another week I might try something different and grab like cranberries and pineapple and pomegranate seeds. So you have a lot of variation once you have the basic building blocks set in place just to have a plan, which goes a long way towards success. Then with any new habit, it can kind of be tough to stick with it. And so what I like to do is set a 10-minute rule that I'm gonna go in and spend at least 10 minutes cooking. And so I'll get a little bit of something done. So you could like make a sauce, you could, I don't know, make rice, make pasta, just kind of like set something up and then have it done, set away. So it may not be cooking a whole dish in 10 minutes,